Welcome back to the Media Row podcast with me, Justin Miller. Happy to have you all here on another Wednesday with Woodley edition of the show, the final Wednesday with Woodley of 2025. I can't believe it's already to that point. We blink and it's playoff football time. It feels like it was yesterday, while also feeling like 5 years ago in a weird way. But it just feels like one day you're getting set for Iowa State, Kansas State, in Dublin, and, preparing for Ohio State, Texas, Drake Upper Iowa, Iowa Albany. Like, you're just getting ready for the season to begin. And here we are. The Drake season is over and they're preparing for 2026. We're going to break down with Coach Woodley, everything from the first round loss to South Dakota to what this team meant to him, as well as just preparing for 2026 and all the hype and expectations that follow such a successful first season for Woodley and his staff and his young roster. So we'll get into a lot more with Woodley here in just a bit. But before we do, you guys want to make sure to follow us at Media Row Pod wherever you like to social media, especially Twitter, because if you're not following along, you're going to miss out on full coach and player interviews throughout the basketball season, the football season. We did it all throughout the gridiron months. But make sure you're following us wherever you like to social media at Media Row Pod. Make sure to give us a like and subscribe wherever you are viewing this podcast or listening. So YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Make sure to comment, like, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. And then lastly, these shows wouldn't be possible without the support of the local businesses like Kelly's Little Nipper. So go give them some love. Go support Kelly's Little Nipper at 1701 East Grand Avenue in Des Moines. Perfect place for breakfast, lunch, dinner, all three. Go there. They're wonderful people. Great food, great drinks, even better community. Make sure to use that keyword in Woodley, and your first drink is on the house. A huge thank you to Kelly's Little Nipper. So without further ado, like we said, can't believe we're already to this point but for the final time of 2025, joining us here on a Wednesday with Woodley, the Drake football head coach, Joe Woodley. So I guess to start is just kind of looking back on where this team started. You can finally now look at where you saw the most improvements. Maybe when you took this job and you're looking at this roster, you had some questions, just like any coach will have to start a season. So now that the season is over, where was the biggest improvement? Where was the part that surprised you about this team the most?
Yeah, Justin, I think, when it was about almost an exact calendar year ago that, we were in this process. And, I don't know that I can necessarily point to one thing, but I do know that we had, I want to say about 9 returning starters, on this team, and off a team that had won 2 straight conference titles. There was 24, 25 fifth-year seniors that were exiting the program, and there was like 2 or 3 that were coming back for this past season. And and I don't want to say I necessarily thought it was going to be a rebuild type of thing, because I knew there was a lot of winners in the program, and based off the information I had gathered, and I thought we could certainly build off that. But to be sitting here saying we won the conference title this year for the 3rd year in a row, and with only 9 returning starters, a quarterback that's a true freshman, a running back that's a true freshman, several new faces at a lot of different places. I think any coach would have certainly signed up for that, and it really is a credit to the players in this program, because I know I've said it time and time again, but man, when you have a coaching change and there's new standards, philosophies, schematics, that's a lot of things that go into a football team, and that's a lot of change. And I think it just speaks to the character and the just the resolve of the guys that we have, and I really am. I'm so thankful for them, the way they embraced myself, this coaching staff, our families, the way their families have embraced us. It was it was certainly a special run, and unfortunately, it had to end Saturday. I wish I could have spent a lot more time with this particular team. It'll always be a special team to me. It was my first team at Drake. I hate saying our first team at Drake, and I'll never forget them. I told them that in the locker room after the game, and it was a disappointing loss. Nothing a coach can say after that final loss is going to make them feel any better. And I could have probably stood up and talked to him for hours, but I knew it was, that's a tough time. Every player's been through it. You play your last game, and again, I'm probably speaking more to the seniors. Just was disappointed for them, but also happy for them at the same time, because the legacy they left behind has got to be about as good as any legacy that any Drake senior has left behind in their career. I mean, to go out with 3 straight conference championships and endure a coaching change and endure a 0-8 start their freshman year. Man, what a tough group of guys. And again, just really, really thankful for them. And the beauty is it allows us to build off of this and continue to push this program in a direction that we all want it to go. And because the standard's been set, it's been 3 years, and that's the expectation. That's the standard. And, that next step is to get into that tournament and find a way to win one of those games. And at halftime, I felt like, we were right there. We were in the hunt. We were in the thick of it. And just didn't make enough plays. And it's credit to our opponent, a great opponent, a team that I think is, in all honesty, I think they're going to find a way to win this weekend too. Just because of how they play and what they do. They play great defense. They run the ball, and we just ran into a tough deal. But I thought our guys played. They played their tails off. Going back watching the film, just much improved from the last time we played them back in September. And of course, we were much different. They were much different, and just awfully proud. And again, certainly not settling for the outcome, because that's not what we're trying to do here. The goal wasn't to go over there and keep it close. The goal was to go over there and try and win a football game. And for the most part, I thought we put ourselves in a position to do that for a decent majority of that game. And it just wasn't our day when it boiled down to it.
Yeah, that first half, I know you of course weren't on Twitter with being on the sideline, but being at home watching that game, being on social media, everyone was talking about how different Drake was performing in that game, because in week 3, that was probably the toughest loss of the season, because against South Dakota State, felt like Drake was really in that game for 3 quarters, and then that 4th quarter kind of slipped away. Against South Dakota, with just so much that was new for your team, Logan's first career start and all of that just weighing down on this team. It was a tough outcome, but man, on Saturday, that first half, you're right there with them. And then their X factors just kind of took over in the second half. Just what else in the second half kind of just went wrong for Drake, and maybe just some things that as you're rewatching on Sunday or Monday that you realized maybe was the issue in the second half, but also what were some things you saw that give you, those high expectations for next season?
Yeah, Justin, there were certainly some regrettable moments, on my end. And probably the very first one was I knew they had a pretty dangerous duo of kickoff return guys. And, we're sitting at 17-10 right at half. We're right there. I felt like we had a little momentum. We got to stop right before the half to, kind of subside any other, further damage. Because I even have some regrets leading into giving the ball back. I wish I'd have ran it maybe one more time to make sure that we finished with the ball in the first half. And I didn't do that. Again, I mismanaged those moments, and I'll learn from those things as well. And but at the same time, you're still trying to kind of, I shouldn't say kind of, you're playing to win a football game that nobody expects you to win. And so there's, there was a little bit of back and forth going on in my head. And then the opening kickoff, we decided to kick it deep just because, we had been kind of bloop kicking things just to, slow down their explosiveness. And the most recent kickoff that we had, we about kicked it out of bounds. And not that I thought we might do it again, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna, I'm gonna believe in these guys. We're gonna kick it down the field. I told them that at halftime. We're gonna kick it down. It landed maybe not in an advantageous spot for us for the return that they had set up. And credit to them, they made a play and returned it all the way down. Justin, you'd probably know it better than me, but approximately to our 20-yard line. And on the opening kickoff, score a couple plays later, and all of a sudden it's 24-10. With 14 minutes left in the third quarter. So I don't want to say that was the nail in the coffin by any means, but it certainly made it a little bit of an uphill climb from there, just from the sense, from the way they play the game. And I thought our offense responded. We had a drive, and then we get it down there, and which brings up maybe my second most regrettable moment. I had it in my back pocket. We had practiced it all week, this fake field goal, and I felt good about it. And I thought it was the right time, catch them off guard a little bit and, maybe create some energy for our sideline. And we take a sack on the play prior, so it backed us up a little bit. It was a little bit I'll be honest, I thought we were going to score a touchdown on the fake field goal, but credit to them. I don't know that they were necessarily prepared for it. I was almost hoping they would call a timeout and kind of bail me out. I just wanted them to waste a timeout, and then maybe I'd have kicked it, but they didn't. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, maybe they're not ready for this. And quite frankly, they really weren't, because we executed it. It was probably just a little bit, because I think the yardage we needed was 14, and I think we got 13. And,
I think it worked to perfection outside of just like a shoelace tackle. Because watching that, I was like, okay, Joe.
I was kind of hoping he'd be uncovered down the field, but they kind of had a oh shoot moment and kind of rallied just enough to trip up Brett, and we came up a yard short of moving or at least getting a first down. I don't remember. I think it got down to the 3-yard line, or 4-yard line. We needed to get it to the 3 or whatever it was. And like I said, I thought we might maybe score a touchdown and kind of silence that crowd, get our sideline going again. And all of a sudden it's 24-17, but didn't work out. And then I don't know if it was 1 or 2 plays later, they pop a 52-yard run, while we have it, because I thought worst case scenario, okay, we got them backed up. Maybe we can get a stop, get the ball back with decent field position. So, and really a field goal, it probably would have helped at the time, but it wasn't going to make a dent too much. Again, still trying to play to win the game. And, so those were a couple of the moments. And you mentioned the third quarter. That's where it just kind of got going on us. And they have some high-level playmakers. Their quarterback was about as good as he could have been on Saturday with all the throws he made. Man, he put some balls right on the money, right where they needed to be. And that was, and again, credit to them. Frustrating for us, because I thought, a lot of the times we were in pretty good spots from the way we were going to try and play them. And like I said, they just made the plays, and we just made too many mistakes throughout the course of that game. You got to play. I don't want to say we had to have played perfect to put ourselves in a position to win that game, but you got to be pretty close when, with the speed that they have and the big play capability they have. We needed to find a way to maybe create a turnover or two, and or hey, Aiden Bauman, just maybe underthrow one of those or overthrow one of those. But man, was he was really on one, and that's the sign of a guy that's been doing it a long time. He's played in playoff games, and it showed. And like I said, credit to them. That's a really good football team. It's the second place team in the Missouri Valley Conference, which is the best conference in FCS football, at least for the last 10, 15 years to my knowledge. And and we battled them for a good majority of the game, and they were just a little bit down the stretch, and but the positive that comes out of these things, where you need to try and get to compete in those games, and and that's we had about a 3.5 hour staff meeting today, much to the chagrin of my coaches. I don't think they knew it was going to be that long, but you got to get on with it. You got to move on if you want to improve this thing and get this program to a place where we can get into that. Like I said, get into this tournament and position ourselves to win a football game, because that's the next step in this program. There's been a lot of conference championships won, and that next step is to find a way to get in there and win a football game, and that's what we're striving to do.
I wanted to start with that kind of those things that just kind of didn't go Drake's way on Saturday. I wanted to start with that question because it led into this next one of just how did you see the team stay together? I mean, this is a group that, like you said, there's only 9 returning starters. You didn't have a lot of veterans. I mean, you had Sean Allison, J.R. Flood, Luke Woodson. You had those guys. But overall, this is a young team. And to have that type of environment, the type of adversity they're facing, how did you see that unit really excel at staying as one?
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head, Justin. Man, we had great leadership all year long. Never for a second in any game did I feel like anybody threw in the towel, quit, started feeling sorry for themselves. There was none of that going on all year on our sideline. And again, we were fortunate to win a lot of our games, but a couple of those games we were in some tough situations, and nobody ever wavered, and that's the sign of a winner, a champion, and which they have been every step of the way in their careers. They've just continued to believe, and even when it was looking pretty bleak there, even late in the fourth quarter, they wanted to continue to compete, and and they just kept doing it, and and I'll forever, just be in awe of those guys. For the way that they approach everything that they do. It's just a really special group of guys, and I couldn't have been more fortunate for a new coach to come in and have the kind of leadership that we had. It's a player driven, player led program right now, and we got to continue to build off that, because when you got that going, you've got a really good chance to have success, and that's what I saw out of them all year long. Didn't matter if we were up, we were down. Just continue to play the next play, and believe you're going to win the next play, and just can't say enough about them. And I thanked him up one side and down the other after the game for that, for making myself, my coaches, our first year at Drake, a one we will never forget because of the kind of people that were involved in this place.
A couple of those players getting some postseason awards, with Sean Allison getting Pioneer Football League Defensive Player of the Year. Just let's start with him. One of the few veterans coming back. I mean, I put out a tweet today saying no one should be shocked that he gets that award. He was so talented and so incredible all year long. It really felt like every time I watched the team, wherever the ball was at, he popped up. I mean, I feel like he would be on the other side of the field and he would somehow be there at the tackle. Just kind of speak to Sean Allison as a leader and a player, and just from experience of coaching some other really great defensive players too. Where does he stack up?
Yeah, he's as good as I've been around, as good as I've coached. And I know I've said it maybe ad nauseum on a lot of our interviews, Justin. I feel like we talk about him quite a bit, and I could do it till I'm blue in the face just because of just the way he does it. Yeah, I mean, he is a special player. He will always be special to me, and we get him for one more year. His plan is to come back for another year, and And again, that's how you can, that's how you continue to build off the success that you have. I mean, this kid he stands for everything that's right. He does everything you ask him to and more. He's an incredible leader. He never shuts it off. Football is very important to him. He treats the game with great respect, and he never cheats it ever. Whether it be a meeting, his nutrition, a practice, certainly a game. He plays through the whistle, and he holds guys accountable, and they listen to him. He's just again a guy that if we don't have him this year, I'm not sure. This is the success we have. And again, our defense played at an extremely high level, and it's because he set the tempo every day. And that's the thing. His teammates didn't want to let him down. That's how good of a leader, football player, person, everything Sean is. I mean, I wish I could clone him. He is special, and like I said, he'll always be special to me. And thankfully, we get to be around him for one more year because he really does. He brings out the best in everybody, and couldn't be more worthy of that award. Yeah, if he didn't win that award, like I don't know where the PFL headquarters are, but I was probably going to get in my car and drive there and raise hell if that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I'm and it wasn't on the PFL. All the coaches kind of vote on that, and I got the sense in our conference call that was the direction it was headed, and very well deserved. And I would imagine it was probably unanimous just because of his production, and of course I'm giving you all the intangible things that he does, and that's what makes it even more rewarding for him, for us as a program. Because that's a big deal. There's a lot of really good football players in this league, and he was, in my opinion, head and shoulders above everybody. Like I said, with his production, and again, maybe I'm a little biased because I'm around him every day, but I tried my best to sell the fact that that this kid is what college football is all about, and I couldn't be more proud of him. Couldn't be more proud, and like I said, nobody's more deserving than Sean for that award.
So this could have been a fault on me, but so Sean's a senior, correct? And so him coming back next year, is it like a grad year? Because I thought he was done.
He's got a redshirt year. Yeah,
okay.
He's got a redshirt year.
I didn't know that.
And again, that tells you how much he loves Drake and how much he loves his teammates. And so he is. We'd like
That's
to keep
awesome.
him around. I wish we could find even another year after that.
You can't find a way to like figure out, oh, well, he was a part during COVID or something, sneak in a COVID year thing, or those are the past now.
Yeah, those days are gone, unfortunately for him.
But another player that got an award this week was your true freshman running back in Nick Herman. And we've talked about him a lot on this show too, of just his talent, the way he really came onto the scene in the second half of the season. But now I want to take this question into just the offseason of, man, he was great for Drake. You know, people are going to be watching him. So as a coach, how much do you pay attention to now trying to keep a guy like that who's so young and has such a high ceiling on this team?
Yeah, I realize there might be a possibility out there, but we've been, we've talked with Nick. We know he loves it here. His dad, his dad is awesome. Gave his dad a big bear hug on Saturday after the game, and Nick committed to Drake a year ago, and with not knowing what was to come, and I think he has felt. I shouldn't say I think. I know he's fallen in love with this place, his teammates, and this place just kind of does that to you. And I fully anticipate Nick continuing to be a part of this program, just because of the kind of kid he is. He's just so loyal. He's very quiet. He's not into all that outside noise. If he is, he's fooled me. But I don't anticipate anything like that, and we're fully expecting Nick to come back, and what a guy to kind of build your offense around. In addition to many others that we have that are coming back, about our entire offense returns, and I know that'll be enticing to him. He cares about his teammates. He's made great friends here, and yeah, it's unfortunate that this is a little bit of the discussion nowadays in college football, but I think that's what makes this place unique, and I do know what Nick's all about, and it's my expectation that he's going to continue to be with us, and he is special, very well deserving of that award, and yeah. I think that one was probably as much of a no-brainer as Sean's was. I didn't think there was going to be any blowback with those two award winners because it was the leading tackler and the leading rusher. I think they were going to be a shoe-in for that. And again, just so proud of him, and what a bright future that young man has. And again, he much in the same vein as Sean, probably not as vocal as Sean. He's a true freshman, still a baby, so to speak, but he sure doesn't play like one. And just real proud of him and what he did this year. And I know it's only going to get better from here.
And then, since we're on that topic of transfer portals and recruiting, just kind of take the listeners through what it's like now as a head coach, now that you're in the off season. Does that, I mean, I'm sure throughout the regular season, you're getting your recruiting board going, but where does that truly start? Like, what's your kind of day to day now as a head coach?
Yeah, there's not much time to sit around. I gave my coaches the morning off just because we had to stay in Sioux City Saturday night because of the blizzard, or the weather, the blizzard, or whatever you want to call it. So played in Vermilion, drove back down to Sioux City, stayed overnight. So we didn't get, so we had to get up, somewhat early on Sunday morning, still drive back, got back about 12:30. And I had to kind of get right to work, even though I was prepared for the moment when we were done. I just didn't know when we were going to be done. So just had to change a few things here and there. And I had to be prepared for a staff meeting that we had today. So because that's the reality, there's really no rest in this thing. And had about a 3.5 hour staff meeting today, much to probably the chagrin of my coaching staff. But there's just a lot of things you got to cover, and you touched on some of them. And the big piece is the recruiting part, but the most important part is just touching base with our players here in the next few days, having individual meetings with our roster. I'll have a team meeting tomorrow. Just to tie up any loose ends, kind of give them what the outlook looks like, from basically here till winter break starts, and then over what we have at Drake at J term, and then kind of a brief intro to how it'll look once we get started back at the end of January. So a lot of things to digest, a lot of things to get prepared for, and but the biggest piece there is the recruiting. Like, we already have an official visit this weekend. I think we're sitting at about 17 commitments right now. So we'll get those guys on campus as soon as we can, and then we're still recruiting for the 2026 class, and there's a lot of good players that are still out there. We'll try and get those guys on campus for visits. And then the portal's a thing. I thought we did some good things in the portal a year ago. There's only one window this year, January 2nd through the 2nd through the 16th. Even though guys are already in there, and we're certainly aware of what guys are in there. But when the time comes, we'll when that January 2nd time frame comes, we'll start to getting those discussions, those conversations, if that's what we want to do. I don't believe Drake's a place where you can live in that world. It's still a developmental program, and that's quite frankly, that's where I want to be anyway, is bringing in high school kids. And but I always think there's room for that transfer piece. So it's certainly fast and furious here, Justin, from about now until approximately December 19th, because that's kind of the end of the recruiting period for Division One. I think it's the 8th through the 18th, where we can get out, go to schools, do all that kind of stuff. And then, once the 19th hits, we'll maybe have a Christmas party with our staff or something to that extent, or kind of that last meeting before. And I'll give these coaches, we've been at it a long time. We reported back in July, last week in July. And of course, the coaches were in 2 weeks prior to that. So it's been a grind. And again, we're not unique. We're not everybody does it. But we played one extra week as well, earned an extra week in the playoffs. So, and being a new staff, and it's been about a full sprint for a year. And I'll give these guys, the coaching staff, a couple weeks from I want to say it's December 19th through January 4th, and then January 5th we'll be back at it, and then we'll be at it kind of full steam from there. All the way through spring ball and off-season workouts. Still going to recruit. We got to get going on 27s. If you value winning, man, you got to put the work in. It just takes what it takes, and it's worth it. When you have a season like we did this year, it's certainly worth it, and we want to continue to build off that and not sit back and rest and say, hey, look what we did. Let's talk about what we're going to do. And that's the mindset I think you got to have if you want to have success. So, but first things first, it's just from now until that December 19th, we've got to put our best foot forward, and then we'll be on to the next thing.
So I'm going to ask you to look into the future a little bit here. So let's say in 5 years from now, someone asks you the question of, just tell me about the 2025 team, your first Drake team you were the head coach of. What are some of the things that come to mind when really describing the squad?
Yeah, first word that just popped into my head as you were kind of going through that, Justin, is just special. Really special. Would have been easy for a lot of those guys to go and do different things with a coaching change, and a vast majority of them stayed and believed. And so they'll always be special to me. And I think I speak on behalf of our coaching staff, same thing. They'll always be special. Tough group, played through a lot. We had a lot of injuries this year, guys that fought through injuries because they cared so much about their teammates and this program. And special, tough, resilient, and champions. Those are the things that just kind of pop in my head, and I'll never forget them. Each and every one of them, and look forward to the day that we have a reunion for this championship team, because these guys are winners. I can't wait to see what they go out and do in their next endeavor. This senior class in particular, because that's always the toughest group to kind of. I don't know if overcome is the right way to put it, but they had a different coach for a good majority of their careers. And they accepted me. They accepted my coaches, and just grateful for that. And it just tells you the type of character that we have, the type of kids that we have in this program. We're going to continue to recruit kids just like this group. This is a model of the kind of kids you want to bring in. So as we move forward and we look at the kind of kids we want to bring, well, how does he compare to Nate Van de Woestijn? Those are the kind of guys that and Luke Woodson, and I could go on and on, of the kind of kids that you want to model your future recruiting classes off of, just because of the character and really just how successful they have been, and we will continue to do that.
Well, Joe, thank you again throughout this whole season being so willing to, work with my schedule and be a part of this show and allowing me to be so close to the program and really be able to ask Kyle any questions, Adam, players. Like it was an awesome experience, and I can't wait for 2026.
Yeah, you bet, Justin. And again, I know I speak on behalf of the entire Drake football program that we really appreciate all that you do, and really your interest in Drake football and giving us a voice and putting us out there. And we never hesitated, never wavered. I always wanted to talk to you and talk about Drake football because it's such a great place, and these kids' stories need to be told because they're doing college football for all the right reasons. And I think these last couple weeks of college football at that higher level, man, it really makes you wonder where we're at in this thing. But I do know Drake and what we're doing in the PFL, and it's unique, and I'm thankful to be a part of it.
A huge thank you to Coach Woodley, as always, and just throughout this entire season for being so willing to come on the show each and every week, give us a wonderful breakdown, previews to games, recaps of games, and just more insight to the Drake football program. A wonderful season, 8-4. An FCS playoff berth, a third straight PFL title, so much to be excited for in 2026. And just want to thank everyone involved with the Drake football program, and especially Coach Woodley for making time for this show and for being willing to come on the show. But before we wrap up today's show, we have to talk about last night's career breaking, record-setting, just pure dominant victory that the Drake men had over Western Illinois as they went 108-57. Here are just a couple of things that we need to talk about with this game, because it is one of those games where, Drake shoots 62% from beyond the arc. They hold a team for most of the game of shooting just like 7% from behind the arc. It's a hard game to really take X's and O's from, but there are still so many positives to take from a performance like this. And just a few of the record-setting numbers that I want to get to. And first and foremost, Braden Applehans with a new career high of 30 points. All 3-pointers he made. He shot 10 of 14 from behind the arc. Alyssa Hurdle from the Des Moines Register and friend of the show said it best. It was when he hit the buzzer beater, I think, to give him 24 points, maybe 27. But he hits that buzzer beater at the shot clock, and she just leans over and says to me, "He is psychotic today." That's why she's a part of the Des Moines Register, because of ways to connect a performance like that. That is the best way to describe Braden Applehans. Psychotic performance. 30 points, a career high, 10 of 14, breaks a 31-year-old record previously held by Jeff Allen in 1994. The Drake team puts up 100-plus points in regulation for the first time since December 21st, 2022. I was calling that game as a senior at Drake. It was against St. Ambrose. And when Alyssa and I were sitting there trying to figure out when was the last time Drake scored 100-plus in a regular season game and in regulation, I right away was like, it's got to be that St. Ambrose game, right? Because that was the hardest game I've ever had to call, because it felt like it was 124-0 at the 17-minute mark in the first half. It was pure dominance. And tonight had a lot of the same feelings. So Drake scores 100-plus for the first time in regulation since December 21st, 2023. New career high for Applehans. Drake breaks a team record of most three mades as they hit 19 as a team. Just dominating, record-setting, and I'm going to lead here before we get to our interviews with Braden Applehans and Coach Henderson. I told people, after watching that and after last weekend, this team is figuring something out, especially on the offensive end. This team is figuring something out. I think something was in the water in the Emerald Coast Classic because they're moving the ball so fluidly. It was some of the prettiest ball movement I've seen from a Drake team, I mean, all season long. They were moving the ball so well. They had 10 assists in the first half. Their record for the season, a single game assist record, is around that 17 mark. So they had 10 at halftime. They finished with 22 on the day, just moving the ball well, everyone getting opportunities. The front court was dominant in that first half. I mean, Federico, no one stopping his length and versatility. But the back court has been unbelievable in this stretch too, where Jaysean Thomas has his third straight game of 10 plus points. He was, I believe, a point or two away from tying a career high. Jalen Quinn, a fourth straight game of 10 plus points. He didn't miss a shot until late into the second half, where he went 6 of 7 on the day. Perfect 4 of 4 from the free throw line. He's incredible. Exact when he gets into the paint, no one's stopping him. You're just seeing the pieces fit together. And I truly believe this Henderson squad is figuring itself out. It's growing and it's continuing to improve. And if it just gets off to slightly better starts than what we've seen, against LSU, the Georgia Tech in this game, they started about as good as you could ask a team. But against LSU, you go all the way back to the Robert Morris loss, the SIUE. Those losses happen because of these slow starts. And I think after this Emerald Coast Classic, this team is figuring something out. So before we dive too much further into this one, just some opening thoughts from Coach Henderson after the 108-57 victory over Western Illinois.
What a special night here in the Knapp Center. Little personal for me, Alyssa. I appreciate that story you did on my son Court, and to be able to have a night like this on Epilepsy Awareness Night when it's so personal to my family makes it even that more special. And the guy, my sidekick here today, was pretty special too, and just very, very, very proud of our guys' effort and our ability to continue to get better early in the season.
And like we said, amazing performance by Braden Applehans, a guy that was the type of shooting we've been waiting to see from him. And he's had moments where he's come off strong from the bench. 18 points was his career high. He'd been an X factor. We had circled multiple times when talking about this Drake offense. A transfer from New Mexico. This is what we were expecting. And I love Coach Henderson just talking about the confidence not only him and his staff, but the players have in Braden Applehans, and the ability to shake off the dust from the last game where he went 1 of 6. And I loved how Henderson said he shot 1 of 6 in the last game, and I wanted him to shoot 3 more. And Applehans comes out tonight, doesn't even phase him the previous game. Like Henderson has said in the past, he wants to just have this team not focus on the past, focus on the future. And 30 points, 10 of 14. Just a special night for Braden Applehans and this entire Drake roster. So here is Braden Applehans just talking about the moment he found out that he had broke this 31-year-old record.
I actually didn't know I broke the record until he told me in the hallway. But really just trusting the offense, because I trusting my teammates, knowing they'll give me the ball when I'm open. Yeah, that's really it. Just trusting everyone, because the ball has energy, so when we share it, everyone eats.
So a wonderful victory for the Drake Bulldogs. They improved to 6-3. They now get set to return back to the Knapp Center on Friday night at 6:30, where they will play UAB. I know Cyclone fans. I know that name still probably raises some hair up on your neck. I know, but it's okay. They're not going to hurt your Cyclones this week. And let's hope they don't hurt the Bulldogs either. But with the way this offense has been playing, really excited. And asked Coach Henderson about the possibility of seeing Owen Larson return. We saw him in pregame warm-ups a little longer than usual. We were kind of anticipating him being in uniform or game gear. Still was in street clothes for the game on Tuesday. I have a gut feeling, though, he might be able to put on that game uniform Friday night against UAB. And Coach Henderson said it's just about time. And he said if we had a game tomorrow, he probably could play. So a lot of positivity and hope with this Drake program all around, and also with Owen Larson. So Drake at home against UAB Friday. We will, of course, be there covering that one. So make sure you follow along all over social media for that. But that will do it. A busy, big show with Coach Woodley. A huge thank you to him. Can't thank him enough. We will have more on the Drake football team, and I want to get, Kyle Kempt and Adam Cox on the show again. I want to get players on the show as we get ramped up for the 2026 season. But now when it comes to Drake, it's just basketball time. So we will be back on Friday where we will preview a huge weekend in college football. We will recap what we saw from Drake on Friday night. We will recap what we see tomorrow on the court for the Drake women, see if they can get back on the winning side of things, and just have a lot more fun here on the Media Row podcast. We will see you guys there on Friday.